And the last topic that we need to consider as we are getting our project started, as we are getting it initiated, is project communications. And let me tell you why. The Project Management Institute, whom we affectionately call PMI, estimates that a project manager's time is spent between 75 and 90% of the time just communicating. In all seriousness, one can do an internet search with that specific phrase, percent of time project managers spend communicating, and that is the amount that will come back, 75 to 90%. In all the many years that I have been doing multi-million-dollar projects, only a handful, I would say, less than 10, would have had difficulties that were based on technical challenges or other difficulties like exporting equipment that couldn't be exported, regulations. The vast majority of project difficulties, really on dozens and dozens of projects, has been project communications. Similar to the consideration then of stakeholders and who is needed to achieve a project success, we will also analyze which communication is required also to ensure project success. To be amazing project managers while managing our projects, we will have to focus on creating bridges between the people involved in this effort. We need to focus on establishing a good working relationship with all our stakeholders and try to be able to communicate with them in the terminology that they are used to, given the group that they come from. The purpose of this exercise is that they all become trusted allies and they will gladly share any project difficulties or challenges that they are aware of so that we can go resolve them and manage the project better. And when project difficulties do arise, which they will, we try to make the situation be the bad guy rather than the person conveying the difficult message. So if our financial person is worried about expenses, rather than saying, oh, Ben does not want the expenditures to go over $10,000, we might be able to say, guys, let's try not to go over $10,000. Or perhaps if Linda does not want us to meet on Saturday, we can convey that to the rest of the team as, hey guys, let's try not to work this Saturday. So that now, in a very collegial style, we will be able to analyze the communication needs of the project. To analyze the communication requirements of a given project, we then need to consider, in a regular fashion, who will need to be kept informed about what. For instance, should we update the finance people every week on what money we have spent? Or would it be more appropriate to tell them every time that we spend above a certain amount, such as $25 or $100? Or should we tell them every expenditure but only in 2-week chunks? This all needs to be considered. Another example, should customers be kept informed on, let's say, a new website that you are launching? Should you tell them monthly that the new website is coming? Or just the last 2 weeks with perhaps a countdown every few days? Which way is going to make this information briefing more effective? And what we're trying to prevent is that an important stakeholder or an important group is perhaps surprised by a certain situation or the state of this project. In all cases, it's probably better to give more information rather than less. The format also requires some thought so that we can think about how are we going to get this message, whatever it is, across most effectively. In the end, the purpose of communications is to have main stakeholders feel heard, and that we have, as project managers, gather all the correct facts so that all people involved in the project can have the right expectation and not just wishful thinking. All these considerations about content and about stakeholders and the preferred format, in the end, are going to allow you to be able to publish a sample communication plan such as this one that I have posted here. If you approach your customer or you approach your manager proactively indicating that your intention is to keep all these different audiences informed with this frequency and with these formats, that will make you look incredibly organized and incredibly professional, because most project coordinators will not do this. In the end, you want to be able to use these communication plans as two things. Number one, an actual competitive advantage for yourself. Something super professional that you do that people dealing with you can expect. But number two, a communication plan also actively helps you manage your project, manage these different information exchange points so you can get your project to a successful conclusion.